The virtual rainbow brings together LGBTQ+ youth and their families, community leaders, professionals, and healthcare providers to learn and celebrate diversity and inclusion. Thank you for joining, everyone, and welcome.
Again, hello everyone. My name is Kim Leighton. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. And as Paul said, I'm the Regional Philanthropy Officer in Montana for Pride Foundation. So for those of you that don't know, Pride Foundation is a Northwest Regional Community Foundation. So we work in Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of a background on Pride Foundation, and then we'll jump into Open to All. So here's just a few photos of some scholars, and we'll get to more information about our scholarship program and our grant program. And then in the middle is just an adorable photo of one of our supporters' son, Sana, and he loves wearing stickers, and every year at Pride he dyes his hair rainbow, which is just pretty adorable. So moving on. For some reason it won't move forward. I don't know why, but I'm having. I tried.
Or there's, if you use your cursor on the left side of the screen, you'll see a way to advance it perhaps as well, or at the bottom of the screen. Yep.
There we go. Okay, so, oops, a little too far. I get kicked in all at once. Okay, so Pride Foundation, who we are. So this is just a really short snippet, but if you go to our website, that picture on the left of those two individuals sitting on the bench is what you'll see on our homepage. And one of our main taglines is be who you are, where you are, because we firmly believe that you should be able to live as your whole self, who you authentically are as a human being, wherever you choose to live, whether that's where you were born or where you choose to move to, and you shouldn't have to leave because you don't feel safe. And so that's really kind of what we believe at the core of our work. And then on the right is actually a good friend of mine who no longer works at Pride Foundation, but just holding one of our pins, and that's our logo on the pin. And then that first bullet point is first, for a very important reason, our racial equity core is at the core of what we do. And as it says, equity is not only critical to our work, but fundamentally achieving it is our work. And we have this in our, the core of what we do because we know that LGBTQ people of color are disproportionately impacted by every issue that affects us. You know, poverty, homelessness, violence, discrimination. If you are an LGBTQ person who is white, well, you may not be impacted as adversely as somebody who is a person of color. And so recognizing this, we really work hard to cultivate relationships with communities of color and really listen to what issues are impacting them, how they're impacting them, and take that back to, you know, our grant making, scholarships, all of the ways that we invest dollars into our communities. Our mission is Pride Foundation fuels transformational movements to advance equity and justice for LGBTQ people in all communities across the Northwest. So we really try to invest in queer and trans-led movements whenever possible. You know, a lot of the groups that we fund are ally organizations that do a lot of work on behalf of our community. But we also, you know, really try to make sure that LGBTQ-led resource centers have all of the resources they need to do the work that is critical. We envision a world in which all LGBTQ people live safely and openly as our whole selves in the communities we call home. And we are guided by the following values: courage, hope, perseverance, innovation, collaboration, inclusivity, and transparency. So this is just a, oh my goodness, it just wants to skip forward, doesn't it? Okay. So this is just an adorable photo of a bunch of our scholars at the Seattle Scholarship Celebration. Our scholarship program is probably the longest program and one of the biggest programs that we have at Pride Foundation. So we provide scholarships to post-secondary education for LGBTQ young people and allies. And so a lot of the work we do is cultivating relationships with student groups and schools and teachers, and providing workshops or just, short presentations on our scholarship program. And we send, from our Seattle office, they send postcards out to all of the high schools and colleges, and really trying to raise awareness about this program. And we now invest over $500,000 into our scholarship program. And that's across all 5 states. And each year we're now investing between $40,000 and $50,000 in Montana into our scholarship program. And I actually asked our finance team in Seattle if they could help me run some numbers. And over the course of Pride Foundation's existence, across all 5 states, we've actually awarded $6,453,277 to just over 2,000 students. And in Montana, we've awarded $313,000 to 92 students here in Montana. So we are actually just wrapping up right now with our scholarship cycle, and we'll be announcing or letting all of the scholars know on Monday. And again, I think we're awarding, like 58 or 59,000 in Montana. And don't quote me on that, but I think that that's it's right around there. So it's just, it's really incredible. A lot of our big donors who have more resources to give start scholarship funds with the specific intent of helping students who otherwise couldn't go to school. So a lot of these students are people who have lost family members because of coming out. Once they come out, their families just kind of say, we're done. Or a lot of these students are experiencing homelessness or have experienced homelessness and just don't have the resources to continue to go to school. So it's really exciting. So that's our scholarship program. I actually have a couple pictures of, let me see if it's gonna skip. Okay, good, perfect. Oh, nope, that was a joke. Okay, so these are Montana scholars right here, and these are from 2 different scholarship celebrations, but I'll say, a couple of these scholars, the one up the right side, the photo on the right side, the person in the middle is actually an attorney at this point. The one on the right of them is, I believe, getting her PhD in psychology and doing incredible research. The person up in the photo in the top on the left is now a nurse at Mayo Clinic. So they're just like really incredible humans who, because of what we know about discrimination and family rejection and systemic racism, that, benefited from our scholarship funds. So it's really exciting. And then a few years ago, our community engagement team came up with the idea of giving them these medallions as well to just kind of make it a little bit more special. So that's a picture of that as well. And then our other big program is our community grants program. And our community grants similarly now have grown throughout the years, and we are also giving $500,000 across all 5 states each year. And So this is a picture from one of our grantee celebrations. Judith Heilman is with the Montana Racial Equity Program, and she's there in Bozeman, actually. And then we have two people from Bridger Care standing in the back. Christopher Coburn over on the left in the back is one of our board members. But our community grants program is really wonderful. And like I said, we work to give funding to LGBTQ-centered and led organizations, but we also are able to invest in really wonderful organizations like Bridger Care and Montana Racial Equity Project, who do really innovative programming that really helps LGBTQ people in a way that if we weren't able to fund them, I don't know if that programming would exist. Bridger Care does really wonderful work for the trans community. They provide health care for the trans community. And then Judith and the Montana Racial Equity Project has done really good work outreaching and supporting LGBTQ youth of color. So it's just a lovely program. And we love working with them very much. And this next picture, I'm not sure why it keeps skipping like that. This is also a year-end grantee celebration, I believe, the following year in Great Falls, and it's just another group of our grantees. And actually all three LGBTQ centers are represented. So we have the Great Falls LGBTQ Center, which is actually who hosted us that year, the Western Montana Community Center over in Missoula, and then the Billings LGBTQ Center, which was a new grantee that year. And then we also have Safe Harbor, which provides services to domestic violence survivors up in Polson on the Flathead Reservation, and the Montana Racial Equity Project and Planned Parenthood. I also have some numbers about our grants program, and we actually also work on a number of different initiatives. So with our grants programming, we've actually awarded a lot of funding, not only through our community grants program, but through a lot of different initiatives and really specific funds that people set up. But over the years, across all 5 states, Pride Foundation has awarded $77,311,928 across all 5 states, and approximately $362,850 in Montana. So it's pretty incredible to sort of take a step back and think about that, because I think we get, in the day-to-day, and each year we do our grants work and our scholarships and kind of forget how incredible all of this work is. And I know it was in my bio, but over the last 6 years, I have been working on our LGBTQ youth homelessness initiative. And so that kind of started with just driving around the state and meeting with people, because there's no data. With a lot of issues, there just isn't good data on how many LGBTQ youth are experiencing youth homelessness, or substance abuse issues, or poverty, things like that. And so it really was just driving around the state. And then after doing research for about 1.5 years, we worked with Empower Montana and the Paparello Center to convene the first ever Youth Homelessness Summit. And so Pride Foundation invested some dollars as well into convening folks from around the state here in Helena. And we had a youth panel that Empower Montana facilitated and organized. Heather Denny with OPI provided some really good data. And we had a speaker with Away Home America come in and provide sort of the national landscape. So we do a lot of work like that as well in our local states. Launch into Open to All now, and we are going to ask a little bit later, how many folks have heard about Open to All. And if we can't get our polls to work, I'll have my contact information at the end, and folks can just email me later on with any questions, or if you have some ideas or thoughts about Open to All or about Pride Foundation. So Open to All began in Helena, and it began also in 2016, and it I live in Helena, and so it just made it really easy to do it here because naturally I spend time going to these businesses. And so it kind of, as we do work plans every year within our organization, and I just decided that I wanted to, having these relationships with supportive business owners, it just made sense to kind of like try to start some sort of campaign or initiative. And so I had this idea, and so I reached out to, several, it says 7, and that's what it ended up being, but I reached out to several of these business leaders that I knew, and I said, I have this idea about starting an LGBTQ, inclusive business initiative. Are you interested? And they were all like, yes, absolutely. And so then we sort of coordinated a meeting at one of the businesses, and it was sort of like I had ideas, but also I didn't want it just to be like me driving the program. And so I wanted them to definitely tell me what they thought being successful business owners. And so it's definitely a business-driven, multifaceted program. And once we kind of had the idea on paper, and we had different bullet points, and then I reached out to one of my friends who was also a super volunteer at the time and really good with design work and, just what we needed for the decal. He then worked with our other friends who are also supporters. So it was a really kind of organic thing that we had these folks with really specialized skills, and they also were donors and supporters of Pride Foundation, and they put together this decal. And so once all of these pieces were put together, we had a launch event in Helena. And the launch events weren't hugely successful, but once the word of mouth started to grow and we were able to just sort of walk around to businesses and ask people, they were definitely on board. As you can imagine, business owners are just insanely busy all the time. They have to make sure that their businesses are successful and that they're making money. And so the idea of coming to an event and doing an extra thing is it's a little bit much. But once you're able to spread it either through the media or social media or just physically do outreach, it definitely helps. And so we were able to build the list, and some of the things that we came up with, which you'll see, are updating non-discrimination policies, modifying facilities to be gender neutral, and then folks being willing to host an event in their business. We've also talked about some places donating a portion of their proceeds for an evening to a local LGBTQ nonprofit, whether it's Pride Foundation or another nonprofit. And so Helena became really successful, so we were like, oh, okay, well, maybe we should try moving it to another community. Paul, should we do the poll?
Success, we got it going. Yep, sorry to interrupt you.
Success.
So
no, you're good. I just saw it pop up.
I'll just remind our attendees, don't click submit until you've filled in all of your answers. So you'll want to go down through all of the answers or all of the questions at the same time before you click submit. So go ahead, Kim, take it away.
Yeah, so so there's several questions here. So the first one was about just sort of identifying yourself if you're willing to do so, which would be hugely helpful for us. And then next is, are you familiar with Pride Foundation? And then if you are familiar with us, I would just love to know how. Maybe you're a former scholar, or maybe you work for a grantee organization, or maybe you've just heard of us through being involved in LGBTQ advocacy, different things like that. So it would just be really great to know that if you're willing to do so. And then the other one is, are you familiar with Open to All? And then we're going to have an interactive activity a little bit later on, but part of this is we're hoping we're going to have like an action item at the end. Like we're really hoping that folks will have some ideas about how they can do some outreach in their communities to grow open to all. And so the last question, you might, like I hope that you have an answer now, but also it might be even more excited at the end, so to speak, especially after you do the activity. But anyway, those are the questions. If you could take, like 5 minutes, I think that's what's up on the time limit. Yeah, about 5 minutes and just fill those out. That'd be great.
Great, Kim, and I'll monitor those. I can see who, and I think you probably can as well. You can see how the answers are coming in. So fill in your answers. And again, don't hit submit until you have all of your answers chosen. And when you finish the last question, then you can click submit. And Kim, I'll just let you know when we've got a good number of folks that have answered the questions. And
Okay.
looks like we've got 21 people who have finished and 8 that are still in progress.
Okay, perfect.
So I will just keep monitoring.
Yeah.
And
okay. Yeah, I'm really sorry about my camera. I'm not sure why it's not working. There's literally nothing else that is recording my face right now on my.
Not showing up on our end either, but that's okay. Looks like we've got 25 individuals who have finished and 6 that are currently in progress, 5 in progress. 27 have finished.
Okay.
Again, 27 have finished and 5 are in progress. So maybe we'll give those 5 folks another minute or so, Kim. Does that sound good?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm excited to see how familiar folks are with this.
And then let me know if you want me to read those answers or the questions, and you can go over the answers. You might be able to see the questions as well. Just let me know how I can help, Kim.
Will it show up after?
It will.
All done.
See all the responses as soon as I close the poll. We've got 29
Okay.
people who have finished, 3 that are currently in progress. And it looks like the clock is just about ticking down here on the 5 minutes. So why don't I close the poll now? It looks like we've got 30 responses. Does
Okay.
that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Going once, going twice, and we're closing the poll. It'll take just a second to tally up here, and
Maybe
then
I'll
be able to see the results.
Okay.
All right.
So maybe I'll talk a little bit about Great Falls. Oh.
And here are the results. And again, let me know if you want me to read those questions back.
That's okay. It looks like we have a lot of no answers on number 1, but some LGBTQ people. Cool. A lot of no's on Pride Foundation. Okay. All right. Cool. So thanks everyone for filling those out. So after we sort of launched it in Helena, and what I would do is honestly just walk around into businesses and ask them if they were interested in joining Open to All. And I think, for some people that feels a little bit overwhelming or daunting, like what if somebody says no, or But I think for the most part, folks were pretty on board. I never ran into anyone that was like angry or upset or like really homophobic. So that was just like really nice. And so we kind of like, after the success of that, we were trying to figure out how to expand next, and we decided to go to Great Falls. And part of that is Great Falls has a really great LGBTQ center, and they do a lot of community outreach. And I think that we just kind of thought that it would be like a good place to move next, and also have like they had like a volunteer that really wanted to get involved and like do the outreach. And honestly, that's kind of what is needed to move this forward. I mean, the word of mouth and social media is helpful, and we definitely get some signups that way, but it's really hard if we don't have like boots on the ground, so to speak. And so we went to Great Falls next, and we were trying to think of the super volunteer I referenced earlier is actually from Great Falls. So these are landmarks specific to Great Falls. And so that's why these are a couple bridges and a building. And so they sort of made the Great Falls decal this way. And they also have a really good relationship with media there. And so the news came and interviewed us, which also really helps to get, if folks have good relationships with the media, and you know the media is either neutral or pro-LGBTQ, it can be hugely beneficial. And so I think that that was really, really helpful. And I will say that, you know, these two communities were great. It was really getting this thing moving, but this was kind of when I was saying to myself, well, this isn't practical. You know, we can't do a decal for every single community in Montana. And as great of an idea as this was, and as nice as, you know, in theory, it was a great idea to begin with, but it's just not practical. And so what we did next was I talked to my friends who were doing the decals, and we just decided to do open to all, like for Montana, open to all Montana, and just do a statewide effort. And so they made this incredible decal that just has beautiful mountains. And the other thing I said to them is I was like, I really need like a black and brown stripe alongside the rainbows. And this, you know, it just needs to be more inclusive of like who our community is. And, you know, of course I was like, how difficult would that be? And they were like, it will take us like 2 minutes. And so it wasn't even a difficult thing. It just, you know, from the get-go, I think a lot of times we just think of like the rainbow as the rainbow. And I just really wanted it to be like truly inclusive, so that all of our community members who are people of color make sure that, you know, they see themselves represented in this movement. And so we did it statewide, but we continued doing launch events in larger communities, and communities where we felt like we could like find a really good LGBTQ inclusive business, and work with them and say, could we have an event there to like really talk about it? And some of the launch events were successful, others weren't. But I think the launch events didn't need to be huge and have all of these people come. Part of it was just like getting it moving in that community. And some communities have been more successful than others. For instance, Bozeman and Helena have over 80 businesses signed up. And then some places like Missoula and Butte and Great Falls have around 20. So it's just interesting. And then we have like 30 in rural communities. And a handful of those are health clinics. Like we get a lot of healthcare clinics in really rural communities like Lewistown who sign up. And a lot of those are ones that just come over. So if somebody signs up on our website, it comes in an email to myself and to our communications manager. And so when we see those come across, it's actually like really lovely to see, you know, really small towns signing up, because it tells us that there are so many businesses and so many nonprofits that want this. And when there's a surge of like attacks on the community, whether it's federally or locally, that's when we see more people signing up, because they want to make sure that people know that their business or their nonprofit is an affirming place for LGBTQ people. So we, like I said, we have our launch events. We haven't had those in a while. We try to identify volunteers to help us do the outreach, but a lot of it now is like word of mouth or like finding a volunteer in local communities.
I'm just going around and walking furniture, so we know the combinators are moving back up.
This is just blank. I'm having some technical issues.
Let me know if I can.
On my end. I'm wondering, I'm just not seeing anything. I tried to move forward on the slide and
Okay. There you go.
Okay. So this is what you see kind of when you go to our website is this, there's the decal again, and it says fostering inclusion through your business. And as you'll see, as right now, if you look at that language right there, we have over 300 businesses across the state of Montana signed up. And I actually had to ask our communications manager if she would change it because the website used to say over 200. And so I asked her to change it so I could put this image up and it would reflect the reality. So it's just really great. And then I just have a few pictures of businesses who have the decals up in their windows. And we have the hashtag. So I actually also ask people, like, if you're going into a business and you see the decal, to take a picture, post it, and use the hashtag. And it's just a really great way to sort of like be able to follow it. And I think I've seen a lot of folks who are just like really happy to see it in Montana. No. Okay. It's like it's skipping a slide. Oh, 14. So there's a couple more. So this is actually the site where people can go sign up, and I can definitely put it in the chat box as well. But these are just sort of like some like talking points if folks wanted to reach out to anyone. And sort of when I go into places or talk to folks, it's just, you know, we have, like, I'm working on this initiative and we're trying to find businesses that support LGBTQ people and are interested in signing up with our initiative and want to put a decal in their window. And we just kind of start with like a short line like that and see how folks respond. And if folks are really interested, they'll be like, oh yeah, definitely I want to sign up. And if you can also, you know, kind of like leave the link and say, you know, you can definitely like leave some information, and if you're interested, you can reach out. And if folks are going out into their communities and doing some outreach, you could also definitely like leave my email and say, you know, if you're interested or you want to learn more about it, you could email Kim at Pride Foundation and they can tell you more. And one thing that may or may not be helpful with some folks is like it's an opportunity to join a group of over 300 businesses and nonprofits across the state supporting LGBTQ youth, adults, and families. And then for some folks, you know, I think for some people they definitely want to put the decal up. For other folks, they definitely want to do more. So some people reach out and they're like, I signed up, what else can I do? And so on the form on our website, there are boxes to click, and we have things like update your non-discrimination policy, modify facilities to be gender neutral. We have educational opportunities such as prejudice reduction training, and what we do there is we then refer people or connect them to Judith at the Montana Racial Equity Project. And then we recently added Trans 101 training, and so then I'll connect them with Sean Rager at the Montana Gender Alliance. And then he does it through Equality Montana, which is another sort of, it's a different sort of business project that's going on under Montana Human Rights Network. So there's just like a number of ways that people can definitely engage in, you know, different projects within their business to make it affirming and welcoming for LGBTQ people, both for employees and patrons. And so there are ways that we're like really trying to make sure that people can do what they want to do to support LGBTQ people and benefit from this program. And like I said, there are a couple of businesses that we work with who host, you know, events for us and things like that. So let me see here. Okay, so this is my interactive moment for y'all. Depending on where you live in Montana, and especially if you're in a rural area, a more remote area of Montana, and particularly if you're in or near a reservation area, we have not been able to grow it in reservations. I would love some ideas around that. And, you know, like I said, the primary strategies really have been just getting somebody who wants to or is willing to just kind of do outreach and walking around, talking to business leaders, and really getting folks signed up that way. But if you have different ideas that are kind of like outside the box or, you know, innovative ideas to grow it, then I would love to hear them for sure. So I just changed the slide, and it's really my last slide here. It's got my name, title, email address, and then our website. So if you want to go check out Pride Foundation more, and then definitely shoot me an email if you have any ideas or any questions about what, you know, more about the initiative. We also, and I'll just put the site for, sorry, I'm just going to put the link for OpenDoll for everyone to take a look at if you want to. But definitely, like, if you have thoughts about OpenDoll, if you have ideas about how to grow it, if you want to go into your community and talk to people about it, but you're a little nervous or you want some talking points, just let me know. We primarily have folks sign up through our website now. It's just a lot easier. Initially, we had actual pledge forms, but the paper just gets a little, it's just hard to, like, you know, have people sending me pieces of paper. You could do it that way and then upload them onto like a Google sheet, and we could communicate that way. But definitely, if you just want to be in touch with me about how we could work together on this, I am all ears. I'd just love to visit more with folks about how we can really reach more rural areas and more reservation areas, and really get to these spaces where we're reaching those that really need to see it. I think that especially for queer and trans, youth of color, and youth and, you know, families that want to support our communities but might not feel safe doing so, how we can build this is really, really important. I think there are a number of ways that OpenDoll can be successful and can be helpful in different movements can be huge. And I think it can help shift the landscape and change hearts and minds in a big way. So I will stop there.
Comment just got posted to me.
Oh.
Quickly. I won't specify the individual. The comment is, outreach is a really good idea. I'm not from Montana, but would people be interested in decals for their homes? Some people may not be comfortable with that, but this would raise attention, especially in neighborhoods. This could also act as a safe house sticker.
Yeah, for sure. And we've actually gotten that question before from folks in Montana. And the only problem that I run into is that we have a certain budget for the decals for the business initiative. And so it's just a matter of being able to like find funding and being able to afford more decals. But at the same time, they're not super expensive. We go through Sticker Mule. They're not local, but they're pretty cheap, and they come within days of ordering them. And I agree that I think that putting them in your homes is a great idea. And I think especially during this time, whoever's willing to put them up in their window is hugely important, because that is also part of what Open to All was intended to do, was for businesses to say, like, if something's happening to you while you're walking down the street, you can see who the supportive business is and you can come inside if you don't feel safe. So yeah, I love it.
Kim, another comment came up. Somebody just asked, do you have someone equivalent at Iowa?
Oh.
In the state of Iowa?
No. I actually don't know anyone in Iowa, but I can ask the rest of my team if we have any contacts there or have like a similar organization who might be doing something like this. So I'll ask. If you're comfortable, could you send me an email?
And Kim, I can post that website. I'm not sure if you did for the Open to All website. Do you know
put it in the chat to everyone, but
did you? Okay. Sorry if I missed that.
That's okay.
Oh, I do see it. Yep. You sent it to the attendees. Yep.
I just want to mention, oh, sorry, Kim.
Oh, you're good.
I just wanted to mention really quick too that the Pride Foundation and the Open to All program are on our website, the one that Paul mentioned at the start of yesterday. We have lots of links to all the various great works that Kim and their program are doing. So visit that website, the LGBTQ website, and lots of links to all of these great programs on there.
Thank you, Deb. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I guess I think I'm at time. So if anyone has any other questions, always feel free to email me. I'm always happy to talk through these things. And like I said, we're just always trying to grow this. We have kind of taken a step back considering the economic hit businesses have taken recently. So we're, we definitely want to like keep this growing, but we also understand that a lot of businesses are just simply trying to keep their doors open. So we're trying to be really thoughtful about that. So so just in terms of like outreach and things like that, we're just trying to figure out how to move the initiative forward, but also be thoughtful of what's going on for our business communities. So
I see we have one last comment in the chat. Somebody says, I'm from Iowa. we have One Iowa and Iowa Safe School doing some of this work. So interesting comment there.
Oh, awesome.
And Kim, I have just a couple minutes before the top of the hour. Any parting words for our attendees today?
I don't think so. I just appreciate everyone coming, and I'll just send one last apology for all my tech issues. I'm not sure what happened with my camera, but I really appreciate everyone listening and being interested in this work. I'm, of course, very excited about how successful it's been, and just want to create safe and affirming spaces for queer and trans people. So thank you again, and as always, be in touch. And